Now, just recently, we took this thing and kind of did a little bit of some spirited driving, I guess you could say. You know, but that's what these tests are for. I mean, in all reality, you don't want to break it, but you kind of got to push the limits to see exactly what's going to happen. Everything went as kind of expected. Everything was good. So I said, shoot, man, let's cool off for a minute and then we'll just go grab some lunch. And we can take this thing. So we're cruising down the road and you know how you and your buddies are getting, you know, next thing you know, you start talking and then you get people cheering you on. We start talking about the engine that's in this thing and then, yeah, this happens. Woo! It is broke. Broke the drive shaft. Let's just run up to the shop. We can grab the parts, grab this cool little thing. Oh yeah, that's the little tow dolly. And then we can go back down there to where the body was laying. And then we can have some lunch and then come back and drag this thing home. But man, I'm telling you, it was a little sketchy. So now we're back here in the shop. We got our parts here, and first thing we need to do is a little bit of inspecting here of the big old drive shaft. This old thing's kind of heavy. Now when that old big girl back there spit this thing out, it went to kind of tumbling down the road just a little bit. Now luckily, it didn't do as much damage that I was thinking that was gonna happen. That car back there, or the Winnebago's got a two-piece drive shaft, and this end right here splines onto the forward drive shaft. So that allowed, when everything back here apparently went south, it just kind of slipped right off and then spit it out from under the four big wheels of the Winnebago. So we do have a little bit of some carnage, but it's not terrible. Well, if you look here on this end, you can tell that it's got some odd shapes to it, and it's not exactly round. But that's from it, you know, bouncing off the pavement. Now, if you go back up here, you can see there's a little more carnage, and that's some of the rocks and gravel and that kind of thing. And right here is an issue. It kind of smushed. Right here, it kind of smushed the little ends on it. So to get that keeper and cup out of there, you're gonna have to throw some sparks. There's some more big gnarly gravelly stuff, and that one's kind of shiny if you can see. That one there too. Man, that one was really whoppy jawed. I mean, really, really whoppy jawed. And pretty much what I was looking at on here, what I'm gonna expect, or suspect, excuse me, is that's what happened. Is it kind of hyper extended or had an extreme amount of angle to it whenever this thing come out of there at that high rate of speed? Well, from being motivated, if you will. Now, luckily, whenever you look down the shaft of this thing, there's really no like dents or dings or nothing to amount to anything. There is that big old scar, if you will. Is that one? No, I thought that may be one. That just looks like a scuff mark. Slide on around here. There is a scuff on it, but I'm a body man. Feel across there? That's flat. That tube is straight. It's just gouged the paint on it. Now it did nick it just ever so slightly right here. And what's kind of funny to me is if it didn't have that weight right there, there's a good chance that it may not have ever even nicked it. The tube is slightly dented. So yeah, now back here is where all the carnage really is. The U-joint right there, still super wiggly. It's got a little chewed up spot there. I'm gonna wipe this off of here. Try not to cut my finger wide open. There is some bluing. See what I mean right there? Sometimes that can be an indication that the U-joint itself, the cup or the needles failed and it got really hot. And this one's got it on both sides here. Not so much there, it's just a little bit, but it is the opposite side. So, I don't know, I really don't know. So the next thing I wanna do is crawl up under there to see if by chance I may have broke the pinion yoke. Both straps are still on the rear end, and this one still has a cup in it, which is a little bit odd. Now again, this is a part of that like detective work that you have to do. Sitting here looking at it, I want to make sure that like it don't look like either one of the U-bolt straps are twisted. Like when you're looking at that thing, the straps are running this way. Sometimes whenever you sling a drive shaft out, it will bend one of them horseshoe like things. That one is pretty much still straight. That one, it's straight as well. Now with the cup, yep, it's still tight. Both of the lock washers back here on the back side of it is flattened out. This one obviously isn't because the cup's missing out of it. And see, whenever you look up here at these two U-bolt straps, both of them are pretty much running straight. One of them's not twisted or bent off to the end. That cup is definitely marred up. And I'm trying to look around on here to see, you know, you just kind of got to figure it out. Like, you don't want this thing to have another problem, another failure, because man, buying drive shafts can be expensive. Now, as I slide around over here on the edge, one thing that does look a little concerning, right in here, that's the little tab. You want to make sure both of them are on each side, and we are. It's a little fuzzy. It's kind of hard to do laying up under here and all that jazz, but do you see the little bitty wear line beside that thing? I'm trying to see if that groove, y'all look in there. See, that cup may have been loose. I'm really curious if the axle strap may have, I don't know, I don't want to say stretched, but if by chance I didn't have it actually torqued down enough that it was vibrating and wiggling a little bit, that isn't good. That shows that there's the smallest amount of wear, if you will. I'm gonna take this strap loose, and I wanna see, I'm just kind of doing the police work. Sure glad we didn't have police work earlier today. Whew. When them blue light specials show up and tell us how fast we was going. Also, it's a good idea to look around to see if, when that shaft come out, if you guys ever sling a drive shaft out of something, if by chance you damaged any other components. My mufflers are still in good shape. Got them flows. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Ooh. We nicked that thing ever so much. Come on. Ugh. Don't want this to punch me in the teeth. Well, it chewed the U-bolt up ever so slightly. You can see what I'm talking about. It's gonna get that boo-boo right there. Now, if this was just an old hay truck and all we were doing was, you know, had a big 300 6-cylinder and moving some hay bales around, we'd probably reuse a bunch of that stuff. Now, I really wanted to get that thing out of there because I wanted to feel, yeah. Yep, that's kind of a problem right there. I want to get this other cup out of here too, and we can go from there on that thing. I want to see if this one's tight. Not super tight, that's actually kind of loose. Which, with it having that traumatic episode, that could have been stretched in a way, or the U-bolt straps could have been loose. Now we did upgrade this thing. Originally, this little old, it's a Dana 70 rear axle under here. And, you know, our Winnebago had a 318 that made 200 horsepower in it. Now it makes that 700. The U-joints in this thing was itty bitty. So, talking with my buddy out there at Dan's Driveline, you know, them guys built a really nice drive shaft, and you know, this thing was going to be good to 1,000 horsepower, and their shaft didn't break. I really think it was the U-bolt, or either I screwed up or we had a cup failure or something. But yeah, this is more stuff like you kind of don't want to see. Now, this part was brand new whenever we put that drive shaft in here, because we upgraded it. Both little tabs here, those are what kind of keeps your U-joint cup from slinging out. And they also locate that drive shaft and the U-joint when it gets in there. And it looks like both of them are nice and square, meaning when it went in there, you can see that it was seated. But this one is a little bit wonky, like it's... Have you guys ever looked at pistons inside of the cylinder? You know, whenever you take a motor apart, the way that piston goes up and down, it kind of will cause it to egg shape. And it's because of the wear pattern. And this one, that's what I'm trying to read, which, granted, we were throwing this thing the wood. I mean, we were putting it to it. And what's funny is when this thing broke, I actually had a thought that moment, or that morning, going, you know, Tom, you should double check them U-bolt straps just to make sure everything's good to go. It would have took, with this wrench, every bit of like, I don't know, 2 minutes to find out if they were tight or not. It's kind of like that kind of moment. I think with a flat file, we could do a little bit of some primitive machine work and shape this thing up. If you look closely, there's a little bit of a burr right here, and that's from it being mashed on this side, kind of like whenever that thing was doing that kung fu fighting. And then right here on this edge, you'll notice it's not square anymore. It's kind of rolled off. And that's wherever it nicked that actual U-bolt too. So I'm gonna say it just kind of sheared right past there. Now with our Winnebago making the power that we're making, I really don't want to use this thing again. Like, I don't want a chance spitting another drive shaft out. Them things are expensive, and more so is they are downright dangerous when things come apart. My family rides in here, and I don't want to get nobody hurt. I don't want nobody behind me getting hurt, and I sure the heck don't want to damage a transmission or even a motor. So, yeah, now for the sake of just making the old Winnebago mobile, we could probably file and shape that stuff up, stick a U-joint in it, and use them old straps to move it around. But I don't think I want to do any of that, like, motivational driving at all in this thing. After doing a little more further inspecting on my little U-joint cap here, I think I actually found the problem. Now, one thing that can happen is, and I know it's going to sound a little bit odd, if you over tighten the U-bolts that hold this thing into that differential flange, you can actually damage this thing. Looking at this thing, right there and right there is the halves, meaning that's the center of that U-joint, and from here down, that's where it was in the flange of the differential. So the U-bolt goes over top of it. If you look at these two marks right here, that is where, let's say, that U-bolt strap was pulling down onto the cup. It's got really hot right there. You can tell by all the bluing. If you really, really tighten down that U-bolt around this thing, it's gonna cause that to go from round to like egg-shaped. And that is where it goes south, because what you've done is there's like that tolerance of the needle bearings and the grease and all that. When you compress it that much, well, it isn't gonna like it. It's gonna cause it to overheat. Now, we may have been on the edge of like too tight, not too tight. Think of it as in normal type situations, it could have been just snug enough that it was okay. But us taking that thing and doing that launch after launch after launch, you really made it start working. And as soon as you do it and it starts building temp, it's gonna just get hotter. And then when metal gets hot, it goes south really quickly. So, because I also remember when I was putting that thing in there, I really didn't want the drive shaft to come out. So I don't remember throwing the old Watt 4 on it, but I know I didn't just like finger tighten it. And with it being like that, that's what I'm gonna anticipate. But you never know. Like sometimes things just fail. Sometimes parts just break. There could have been a flaw that was inside of there, a piece of debris, and it could have been on its way out way before we actually did all those Pro Mod burnouts. So this is what we got to do now. I want to get this little ring off of there. This is a little grease cap that helps keep everything inside of there so that this can slide on that splined drive shaft up under there. If this will go in there, meaning it's not egg shaped, we should be okay to just get a new one of those. But before we go to spending parts, I want to see if this will slide onto that shaft. If that's okay, we'll take it back out. Then up here, where this thing is kind of bounced around, we need to take these caps out and make sure that there's no crazy amount of pressure. Kind of like this one's bent a lot more. So with them things being mushroomed down, it could have squeezed the caps in on that U-joint, and then that also can cause a failure. Now when you flip it around, it's a little snug right here. Right there feels way smoother than it does that way. It even kind of feels like there's a knot in it. Yep, y'all know what that means. We're gonna have to replace that U-joint too. We're gonna have to see if we can get it apart, which means we're gonna have to take the clip off, do some carbide grinding right here, and then also back here on the back, we'll just have to put in a new U-joint. First things first, let's see what that thing looks like. What's the old saying? Smarter, not harder. I'll do all this, and then that'll have like a half a thread and then it'll fall off. That's okay. Yeah, that thing looks fine. After getting that little grease cap off of there, splines looks good. Don't look all egg-shaped, but I want to do a test fit under there. You give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Now a little earlier, I also was telling you guys about with a U-joint, sometimes when you take an old drive shaft out, one of the things you want to do is kind of just move it around, see if it feels like fluid-like. You don't want it to feel like it's got notches in it or something. If it is nice and silky feeling, you're usually pretty good. This one feels tighter when I wiggle it this way as opposed to this way. So you got to think of those as the two different axes, if that's right. These are bearings, so when it goes one action, that's one set of bearings. It goes the other way, it's another set of bearings. So where this thing has been bashed onto the ground, yeah, we're gonna have to take this thing apart. So first thing, let's take these little clips off of here. Well, that's kind of a good sign. There wasn't a, I've had them before where them things were kind of like mashed so tight you really couldn't get them out. I'm trying to keep from slinging these dudes across the room. I shouldn't have said nothing. Now this one's gonna be a little more aggravating to get out. It could be or spinning around like here to get that flat spot. Yep, there it went. Okay, now I want to take and pick that down, give me a little more clearance around here, and we probably may even get this thing apart and inspect those cups on the inside to make sure there's no kind of damage. You know, we're not going to be waylaying this thing. I'm just going to kind of when you're hitting that dude with the hammer, and you can see it's recessed in there a little bit. We roll it over. When we roll it over, you can see that it's bottomed out against that lip. So now would be the time for us to take a carbide and kind of grind that flat spot out of there. I think we're good there. And then a little bit of some compressed air. Oh yeah, that should come out. And we'll do the same thing on this side. I think we're good. Now we got to get this thing apart. Kind of got to be conscious of when you're striking a U-joint to get them out, you don't want to dent the tube. So we have just the edge of the weld here on the table. I'm going to take my hammer and pick part of the yoke, and it should drive it down, and that cup will kind of push up through it. And did it on that side. That's really a good sign that that thing come apart as easy as it did. And then kind of do the same thing on this side. That's her. That grease stinks. I know that's for sure. That grease kind of smells burnt. I did buy a new U-joint earlier. This thing's got the super U-joints in it. Well, here's the U-joint. What this one is a Spicer 1350X, meaning the super strong one. And it's not greasable. Sometimes you'll have a U-joint that has like a grease zert put in here, and that's a weak point on them. This one is made without that on it to improve or for improved strength. However, that makes it where you really can't service it. I'm gonna pull. That's kind of interesting. I'm gonna replace this joint too. This grease smells completely different than that grease. That stuff kind of smells burnt. And it's black and this is green, or not green, red, excuse me. So I know greases smell different. Like there's certain ones, you know, peanut oil from bacon grease. You know, bacon grease smells pretty good. But I'm gonna say for me in this thing, what we got shaking out, that U-joint ain't worth the like potential failure. I'd almost rather change it now than have a problem later. Like, because this thing took a whooping. I mean, when it went to that severe angle that it did and mashed those ears on that, you know, there's a chance it would be okay. But what if it wasn't? Would you chance it? Would you want to break it the second time? So looks like I get to run to the parts store one more again. Yeah, to grab a second one of these. So we're gonna have to take these little cups out, little snap ring things again real fast, which if they come out like the other ones did, it shouldn't be very much issues at all. There's that one. Spin this dude around here. Take this one out. Have any of you guys ever dropped a drive shaft? I'm getting good at slinging them dudes across the room. Have you guys ever slung one of these old things apart? Probably so. I just had a guy, a local fella, tell me about his uncle doing this. And yeah, it was awesome. He was talking about dude had a big block Chevelle. And with that big block Chevelle, he was, you know, in front of everybody, getting cheered on. So he tacked that dude to the moon and back, and then dumped the clutch. Big block, 4-speed. Y'all know the sounds it made. If you notice on this thing, guys, I'm not slinging this hammer like I'm trying to save somebody's life. Just kind of tap it around. Let it do its thing. Stuff stinks. I guess we could tap it the other way. Drive it. Alrighty, we got it all disassembled. Our old ones, they're stinky. You know, that's one of them kind of things, like, you could put this, you know, like in the glove box of the ride over there, and in a have-to situation, you'd be lucky to have one of those. So we got to put this thing in there. And you know, sometimes folks get a little worried about U-joints, but they can fight you sometimes. But normally, if you just try one, you'll get better. And the second and the third, next thing you know, you're good to go. So first thing we're going to do is take these off. Drop that one in the floor. That is not what I wanted to do at all. Put that back in there. Pick this one up. Make sure there's no needle bearings. You always want to make sure that you look in there and everything's standing up. You don't want one laying down. Whew. Nope. These also have a little thrush washer right here on the edges. That's to help with making it like lubricate. It gives it a little bit of some room and a kind of a cushion, if you will. So we're gonna gotta take this apart like we were saying. Put that cup back in there. Come on. Okay. The way I prefer is to take the U-joint, lift it up, have that protruding through, and then start the other one. And while you're holding up on the U-joint, tap that thing into place, and then flip her over. Start your second one. Also, lift that one up ever so slightly. See, so that they both kind of are lined up. Move this back to that edge. That's what I was talking about. You don't want to be driving this down with it sitting on the side of that tube. And then once you get it in there, it's a good idea to kind of wiggle it around, make sure it feels okay. Now this thing did come with some new clips, and I want to say you need to put new clips in, especially with ours shooting them across the room. You get it, you know what I'm saying. Need a pair of needle nose instead of these giant monster pliers. Squeezy. Flip, throw that to the floor. Throw this one over. And then tap that down ever so slightly. Oh yeah, that's her there. When you're installing these clips, you want to make sure that the clip itself actually goes in there and hangs on that lip or groove that it needs to stay in place. I usually put one end on, kind of like so, and then just squeeze it. And then pick that thing around to make sure that it's seated all the way around. Otherwise, when you start spinning this thing, that clip can come out, and then the cup will come out, and then your U-joint and dry shaft will follow suit. The guys at Dan's Drive Line built this drive shaft for me. And what I thought I'd just done kind of screwed up. And by screwed up, I mean, I needed to know which way this thing went on there. It could have went this way or it could have went this way. But luckily for me, they stamped it right here and right there with my initial. If you can look there, you'll see TB. Why that's important is because this thing was balanced. So if you change this, it may change the dynamics of it. Also, this thing has to spline on to that other drive shaft. So it needs to be the same way. And that thing has all these different splines in here, and there's not just one that's wider, indicating it only goes on one way. This thing could go on a bunch of different ways. So luckily for me, this TB and this TB lines it up that way, and then whenever I go to put this part back in there under that thing, I can find that same stamping, and we're ready to move forward. That's convenient. You can tell them fellas have built drive shafts for a while now. Whew. Made me nervous. Whew. I don't like that. Did y'all just see that? That cup has none whatsoever pressure holding it on there. I'm not that strong. Look at that. So what do you guys think about that big gnarly dude, big Winnebago, launching it like a rocket ship? We got that one all together. Now I want to take this one out just to see. I went ahead and removed all of my little keepers out of this thing, and I'm going to take and draw a line straight across. I want to see the orientation of that cap, meaning if you'll notice those lines cut on there, that means whenever I take, I'll even put a arrow on here, meaning to the back. So I drew a little line running straight to the back because I want to see what this bearing looks like. If this thing got hot like it did, I'm curious if this one had got hot as well, meaning it could be that, let's say, that U-joint or that drive shaft turns a certain way. So with that, there's a lot of force being pushed against that bearing because it's kind of just one-sided, because the back side of the bearing doesn't have any force on it because it's pushing away from it inside of that cup, if you can follow along with me. So if there's a lot of heat on one side of that bearing, that'll tell you where the primary load was on that cup and that U-joint crossmark in a way. So if there is blue on this thing, that'll tell you that there was a bunch of heat on side, like inside of there, along with these down here. Because you would think if the heat was applied just by the sheer force of the drive shaft itself, there will be 4 hot spots on all 4 bearings. If it's only on 2, that means those U-bolt clamps was way too hot. So, I don't know. With that other bearing that we took apart, the grease being smoked up and hot, that thing may have been on its way out, and it's just the sheer force of that Hellcat motor making so much power, that Winnebago weighing so much, creating a lot of effort for it to move it, and then also the rear tires having such a bite, they won't slip. Something's got to give. So let's knock these 2 bearings out and see where we're at. Is that grease or is that where it got hot? Looks like that dude was starting to get warm, guys. See what I mean? So, if that was on this side, we flip this over, that one may be hot on that side. Let's do this again. I know this is kind of mumbo-jumboed up here. I'm gonna put this back in here. Up like so, down like so. Just gotta jiggle her to get her to fall into place. Yep, did y'all hear that? Got a bearing out of whack. You can see some discoloration right there. I believe we are kind of getting to the bottom of the failure, or at least finding some of the issues that we had. So let's just simplify it. This drive shaft has to spin in a clockwise manner. So that means the hot side, meaning the effort being pushed forward, is going to be, let's say, that way. So with the arrows on our cups, if it's on the top, it would be on this side, and on the bottom, it would be that side. So we'll line this little cup up, essentially both the arrows, and then you look on each side of it, ever so slightly is wiping that thing off. You can see where there have some distortion looking stuff. Arrows pointing toward me. Let's roll them up and then I'll clock them back to you. So if you'll notice, there's a ever so slightly dark spot right here, and there's a much larger one there. So if I roll that cup over, you'll notice both arrows are pointing up. So it looks like we kind of were really getting these U-joints kind of hot. I mean, 700 horsepower and like 5 or 6 of those big Pro Mod launches in a row that are about a minute or so apart or two, we may have found the problem. It ain't supposed to be like that. And also, there's a chance I want to wipe the grease off of this thing, and I want to see if there's any kind of wear pattern on here. Yep, kind of the same way. Nothing blued yet. Think of this U-joint being spun. It has to go this way. So since it's going like that direction, the leading edge of this thing is where, like, the furthest point forward. So if I roll that thing to you back and forth, you'll probably should be able to see that kind of shiny spot on this U-joint. This one here, if I flip it over, is kind of the same way. So seeing that stuff right there, that tells you that that U-joint was kind of putting forth some effort. This one, if you look at it, it's significantly shinier or got a lot flatter spot on it, where when we roll it over, it's not nearly as worn looking. And these things don't really and truthfully have but about 2,000 miles on them. I believe we have found some cumulative problematic areas. One could have been me just being too much effort put with this thing, making that thing kind of gyrate. So I may have learned something here. I don't need to do it over and over and over and over again. So, yeah, I'm going to have to slap in this new U-joint essentially to even get this thing to move around. Had to look from a TB up here to make sure I line this thing up properly. So yeah, I'm going to have to get some more parts for this thing, because y'all remember the big chewed up axle grease thing gasket, like this thing, the retainer for it. So in the efforts of not losing stuff, I'm gonna go ahead and put this thing back on. Trying to. Ugh, only has got some gooey stuff on it. Probably ought to clean that, cause them hard chewed up rubber bandy whatever that stuff is, splines don't like that kind of stuff. Longest shot ever. Ooh. Oh no. There's a little bit of some plasticky stuff on there. I don't know what that is. Comb any of it off of there. And then probably some kind of like dampening material. Use a little bit of some grease to make it slippery. I don't need a lot, just something. That stuff will start moving around on itself. Moment, dude, back around. And goes to this one. That one goes, yep. I'm really not hitting this thing all that hard. Just kind of checking stuff out. A little bit more. Oh yeah, it's smooth now. Got enough clearance-ish, almost. I just dropped another cup. That should be plenty. So what we need to do here is we have that big old
burr spot. Kind of block sand it down. Shouldn't take a whole lot to get us there. That's very flat. This surface really isn't all that crazily important because it has a U-bolt goes in it. Actually just through and loops around. We'll just kind of screw it all back up. I was told a story with flat files a long time ago from a guy I used to work with that was talking about working on locomotives and stuff way back when, like in the 1800s, that they would machine parts if a train broke down out in the middle of nowhere, that they would like dig a hole, pour molten metal into it through a forge, and to use the ground as the cast, and then take flat files and like machine them again. That's crazy, man. I don't know how true that story is. The guy told me didn't really have any reason to lie to me, but I mean, you never know. Yeah, I just couldn't imagine getting there, like, you know, we're a 1/4 inch off and then having to sit there and do this. Sitting here doing this kind of, I guess I could spin that. Yeah, let's do that. Makes me think of all those comments you guys tell me about the yesterdays of whenever you would watch this stuff on TV. It'd be like, man, y'all can build a car in like 17 minutes. But do you want to watch Tommy Bochers with a flat file fixing a differential on a Winnebago for 27 minutes? Do you? Do you want to watch me use this? This is basic machine work. Man, that one right there is twisted. Look. Long time ago. Like a long time ago. Okay, so this is what was going on. We and a buddy of mine was out kind of cruising around, you know, having some fun. And then he had this old, like early 70s GMC or C10 pickup truck, and had a hopped up small block Chevy in it. And with that, this dude he was talking about, man, this thing, I'd love to be able to do a pro mod burnout in it. So I told him, I said, dude, heck, you can do it. That's all you got to do is like rev this thing to the moon, have it in first gear, dump a clutch, and as soon as your foot comes off the clutch, grab a brake pedal. Dude floors it, valves are almost floating, and then he dumps a clutch in it and instantaneously pushes the brake pedal dang near through the floor. And then, boom! Ding, 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 ding. And I remember going like, yeah, no! Looking, and me and him kind of looked at each other at the same time. And it looked like he was going to throw up. Yeah, what had happened is the little ear here on the yoke of the differential, it sheared it right off. He broke that thing. Didn't break the drive shaft or the U-joints, but it broke the yoke. So every time people talk about drive shafts and this broke and that did this, that story comes to mind. Let's slap this thing up in here. Tap it in there. We may have to pull that dude back out. Aw, man. We do. Rascal. Alright. Take this one. Put it in first. This thing. Takes a little bit of some finagling. Get up a little more. So difficult. Way harder than it's supposed to be. Some of that is because you're using crap over that was kind of whoppy-jawed, slightly modified. So now start all the little lock washers and nuts on here.
Maybe we'll be able to do this.
Come on, babies. Come on. Now I need the one last lock washer. Here it is. Quit looking for it, guys. I found it. This has been quite an ordeal. It's not the end of the world. Could be on the side of the road trying to do this stuff. That ain't no fun. Now, we're going to pick the drive shaft backwards. Hit the gas tank. Gotta do that. Make sure that's... It's your elbow. Jeez Louise. Well, this is what I usually like to do. This, you got the little ear, if you will, that's right here, the little notch, and that's supposed to be on the side of each one of your little cups. That keeps them from coming out. So I like to get one side started like this one is. Run the little U-bolt down. Just like that. That way it's kind of holding it against it on this one side. Tap it a little bit. And again, just finger tight. Pull the shaft over this way. Run these down a little bit more. It's a lot better when you don't have parts that are chewed up a little bit. And then sometimes you have to like send it like. You want to see that cup seated all the way in there. I'll run these down and then show you guys what I'm talking about. Thread on that thing's a little crabola. What you're looking for is you want that round little cup to be completely seated against this crescent shaped part there, inside of there. You don't want any kind of air gap. If you have that, that will tell you that your cup fits properly. If it's touching here and here and it won't seat all the way, that means the diameter of that bearing is too large. If it seats against here and doesn't touch on each one of those corners, that means the bearing itself is too small for that radius or half radius. So checking that is always a good idea because that ensures that you have the proper U-joint for your yoke, and you know that can cause you some detrimental failure as well. So we look like we're in pretty good shape, and obviously we're going to replace this thing because it was kind of chewed up a little bit. So I'm going to have to go ahead and get these things here cinched down, and then we should be able to let her down.
Well, our Winnebago is dressed to impress and back up and going again. Now, I wouldn't say it's 100%. We're still gonna have to do a little bit more like, what do you call that? Like physical therapy and some of that kind of thing. And we got a bunch of parts coming. You know, we run into a couple of those issues. They're kind of questionable, and that's not good whenever you're making 700 horsepower, 7,000 pounds, and more than half that in tires for the rear wheels. So yeah, I don't want a chance slinging it apart, blowing it up, or crashing it or nothing like that, but we are gonna take it to the track here in the really near future. We're also headed to Mo Party with this thing. That's that big Mopar show up in Bowling Green. So if you guys would like to check that thing out, yeah. We also got a discount code headed your way. We don't have it right yet, but I know it's in the works. So if you guys want to save some money on some tickets, I can drop that to you. And guys, I want to say thank you for what you're doing, liking, following, and subscribing. That stuff is pushing us up. Don't forget to leave us a comment. So guys, I want to know what you all think about this big thing here. Are there anything that we need to do? My wife tells me we ought to do like some ride-alongs, charge for those, give people the opportunity to like kick us $10 and I'll take you for a high lap in it. Oh, that'd be a lot of fun. Well, that's all we got for right now. I appreciate y'all following along with us. I need to put a couple miles on this thing, but I'm a little nervous. So I may just call it a day. Y'all keep it between the ditches.